Welcome to Real Life in Real Estate. I'm Nikki Robbs, a local real estate agent serving Tacoma, Puyallup, and beyond. And today my guest is Kory with Dirty Deeds. And I really wanted Kory to come on because I do get this question quite a lot. What about vacant land? And vacant land is its whole other animal because either you find it or you don't find it. It's a good deal. It's not a good deal. And these are questions that I am not going to answer. You need a specialist. So from feasibility study to utilities to everything, this is stuff that is Kory's expertise. So I wanted to have him on so he could answer a few questions.
Absolutely.
Get the ball rolling.
Yeah,
and
right.
Hopefully we whet your appetite for whether this is going to be your dream home, your forever home, you get to age in place, or whether this is your starter. I know where I need to be. I've got a manufactured home in mind. Either way, you probably need to call Kory. Call me too, but you probably need to call Kory. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Yes, and you're right. You hit a lot of the really kind of important things right up front.
Try to.
Yeah, like what are you going to do? Age in place? Is it going to be a manufactured home? Is it going to be a stick-built home? There's a lot of things to consider in it.
So when you see vacant land out there, you're like, $45,000.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my gosh, it's so cheap. What do we do next?
Due diligence.
Okay,
That is
describe that.
Due diligence. Due diligence is the process of researching every feasible thing about that piece of property. From what it has geologically done historically to what it's going to do in the next 100-year floodplain. There's a lot of things to look at. Due diligence is the process of finding out, can I build on that land? Is that land going to actually have that value? Does it have that value right now?
Yes.
There's land that might be $45,000, but its value is $2,000.
Seriously?
Absolutely.
Oh gosh.
Absolutely.
I thought people would be more accurate about valuing land because there's less objective things.
Right. Absolutely. But as you know, it is what somebody will pay for it.
That's so true. Always true.
So, due diligence. That process usually requires a geological engineer, septic designer, real estate agent.
Definitely.
And a lot of research on the buyer's part. They can hire somebody to do a due diligence review. We offer the review portion of it. We're not a geological engineer, but we offer the review portion, and we will write a white paper for the buyer to say, hey, look, this is what we think it is. This is where we got this data from, and this is what we recommend. And then they can move on to the geological review to find out, hey, is that land actually suitable?
So is the geological review wetlands, forested hills?
Absolutely.
Loamy soil, can't build here? Okay.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. They make the determination, and I don't want to say the reviewer actually makes the determination. The jurisdiction makes the determination. So the county, the town, they make the determination, but it's based off the geological study that they produce to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I know
start with
sometimes
due
it can get
diligence.
crazy. Start with due diligence.
We start with calling a professional.
Yeah, absolutely.
And saying, I looked at this land. I think it will work like this. Here's my dream for it. What do you think? Can you get started?
Absolutely.
Okay. So obviously you don't do that for free.
No. So our white paper due diligence is about $700.
Okay.
And it gives you quite a bit. I didn't bring one with me. I'm sorry.
Well, we didn't know we were going to talk about
this. I didn't know. I can absolutely send you one if you want to. You can look through it and just maybe put it on your webpage.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just kind of goes over what data is out there. We use all the governmental websites to pull that data from, and then use a combined about 160 years of land development experience to say, hey, look, this is what we think about it. That's it.
Okay. That's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, it's a pretty
because
simple process.
If you're going to shop for lenders and say, which lender can do the thing I want to do, because not all lenders can do everything.
Absolutely.
And then we need to call someone who can look at the lot. I don't look at lots, okay? I'm happy to come and walk it with you.
Yeah.
But I'm going to see the same things, or probably less than most people, because this is not where I spend a lot of my time and education.
Yeah.
I'm going to be walking around there with my rubber boots and saying, that looks like bear scat.
Yeah.
Well, that looks like a gopher hole.
Right.
And that's pretty much the gist of it.
So the due diligence will not cover you talking about bear scat
Yeah.
and gopher holes and prairie swallows, the spotted frog. There's a lot of different
gopher.
Yeah, the gophers. Yep. It doesn't cover that. That is all done at the jurisdictional level.
Oh, yes.
So you will find that it will say in our white paper, hey, this is what we believe the jurisdiction requires for a review for the ecology. Kind of case in point, there's a project in Rainier that we're going on, and Thurston County actually just added things to their ecology review that were not there last year.
I believe you. I believe you.
I did not know any of this, and it added another 8 weeks to the ecology review portion. Before permitting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it just happens, and that's the jurisdiction decides kind of what they want for ecology.
Right.
Once we get to that point, you've already had kind of our white paper. We've already had a geologist out there, a septic designer out there to look at the soil, to find out if the soil is buildable. We've already determined if it's wetlands. We've already determined if there is profit in logging to be done on the property. We've already looked at numbers for what is actually going to cost before the structure gets put in.
Yeah.
You know, the ecology is kind of after all of that.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So we've found the property. We've called you. We've gotten the white papers.
You've gotten it.
What happens next?
So you basically pull the trigger and say, I want to move forward on this property. Let's say you want the property.
Right.
If you don't want the property, just say, I'm not interested.
I'm done. Bye.
And it's okay. Nobody will have hard feelings about it. But if you do want the property and you say, hey, this is my direction.
Yeah.
Then you say, hey, I want to move forward with this.
Right.
Your next step is to find a builder.
Find a builder.
Yep.
Find a lender, find a builder.
Yep, absolutely.
Before purchasing the property.
I would highly recommend it.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Having a relationship and a partnership with the lender is probably it's probably the second most important part of the raw land purchasing. Being comfortable with that person.
Yeah.
You know, it really is.
Well, I think for every purchase, though.
Yeah.
Because lenders make or break it.
They do. So you find your lender. You come into play in there as a real estate professional. You can give kind of a marketed assessment based off of what they want to put in there for the future.
Right, because when they tell me, we want to do this 2-story single-family home
Right.
for our horses.
Yeah.
So so I'm thinking barns and equestrian properties, and then I can go compare what have the other equestrian properties look like and how have they been valued, and that's all important. Super
important to do that for anybody because, you could put $1 million home in that's your dream home.
Yeah.
The neighborhood might only be $600,000, and you can stay in that home. That's fine.
Yeah.
We're all going to eventually move on, and the property eventually is going to go to somebody else, whether it's our kids, whether it's
or you have
somebody
to sell.
You have to sell,
Yeah.
you want to sell. So it's really important to get that number in your head, or an idea of that number.
Right, your lender may require that it doesn't exceed the neighborhood.
Absolutely.
It may need to appraise, or you may just have all the cash that you want, and then you can build the bat cave.
Yeah, right.
That's fine, but
which is awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, some people are like, yes, that is my dream. I need a cave. I'm going to build the bat cave.
We can do that.
Okay, there you go.
I would love to build a bat cave.
Let's make dreams come true here today.
Let's do it.
That is so awesome. All right, so we've sort of explored vacant land, single-family homes. There's clearly going to be a process, and then the buyer needs to develop their team, their dream team of these are the people that I'm going to work closely with,
Absolutely.
right? You said builder, lender, real estate agent, dirt works.
Dirt guy.
Yes. So what do you do?
We do everything except for vertical construction. So
you're not the builder.
We are not the builder.
Yeah.
We work very closely with the builder. I use the term civil guy.
Okay.
Because we do a lot of the civil portion of all buildings.
Okay.
So, as your dirt work civil guy, we will come in, we will shape that land to meet your house needs, your home needs.
Okay.
So you need a driveway. You need road access.
Yeah.
You need to clear the vegetation. You might need some grading done.
Yeah.
You're going to need power. You're going to need water. We have in our toolkit a plethora of subcontractors. So you need a well.
Yeah.
The well guys work. They don't work for me. They're my subcontractor.
Right.
But they work for me.
Yes.
You need a septic installation or design. They work for me.
Yeah.
So we are a small building conglomerate that we do everything from the dirt level to where your builder will bring the concrete guy in to build a vertical structure.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. It is a lot.
That's a lot of things.
It is.
If we're lucky, we find land that has utilities present.
Absolutely.
Or even in the street. That's my preferred.
Yes.
At the beginning.
Yes, having utility stubs in the street
Yeah.
Are very convenient. However, a lot of people have the rural dream, and
Yes. Let's describe that, because I know some people. Hope you're listening.
it's the truth.
It is, especially around here. We just want to get away.
Yes. Yes.
Can we homestead? Can we be self-sustaining? Can we be off the grid but not? Because you're going to have internet. But
Yeah, right. Everybody has internet. I don't know how anybody that can't function without it these days. I know there's people that want to function without it.
Yeah.
So the rural life and building on raw land.
Yes.
Find a great deal from a farmer that gives you, 10 acres for $50,000. What a great deal.
Oh my gosh.
What a great deal.
Yeah.
Depending on where the utilities are, we've run utilities over 5 miles.
What?
5 miles between running access to the property with easements and where the utility stub is.
Oh my
5
gosh.
miles.
Oh my gosh.
So to give you an idea, it all boils down to price.
Yes.
It really does. And costs. If you're building the Batcave, you don't really care about price. And you'll run 5 miles worth of utilities. If you're like us, normal human beings that borrow money and then work hard to repay it, price is kind of our determining factor. So a good rule of thumb when you're talking about the rural life and running utilities, you're looking at, just for electricity, about $400 a foot.
Per foot.
Per foot.
So if it's in the street, you can just do your guesstimate of, I think I want to build here.
Yeah.
Okay, $400 per foot. Okay.
Yep. That's a real good guesstimate, and I would be safe to say that that's a solid one.
Yeah.
The energy provider does have a number into there because they are the ones most of the time that provide the actual cable and the conduit for the energy to go in. But $400 a foot is a good number to base it off of.
All right.
Yeah. So you start running a mile, 5,280 feet times 400, that can get pricey real fast.
Yeah.
And I know that's not my budget. But it could be in somebody's.
Yeah.
So
Just doing the math of doing the part of the due diligence.
Due diligence.
Where are we going to build? How far is it?
Absolutely.
Got to get utilities out there.
Absolutely. This can go pretty deep.
I bet.
Yeah. So
So if you're dreaming of the rural life,
Yeah.
or homesteading, or just really getting off the grid as much as you possibly can, we should probably have another conversation.
we should. I think lenders would have a lot to say about it too.
Yeah, I should ask one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. The off grid thing is very cool. But I don't know if it would meet the lender requirements. I think.
Yeah.
I think they would be upset if we didn't have power.
Right. I used that example in a first-time home buying class. We're looking at different red flags. And one of them is this, it is a house. it has power, sort of. I see the solar panels on top of the house.
Yes.
Okay. And then it says, oh gosh, Will, you may have to edit this out because all my words just disappeared on me. It says fully functioning kitchen.
Oh.
You shouldn't have to say that.
Yeah, no, that's isn't that part of just having a kitchen?
Right. So if you see the words fully functioning kitchen, that means at some point it was not fully functional, and they're very proud of the fact that it is.
Somebody worked on that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why they say that.
So now it's a red flag.
Absolutely.
Don't buy that.
Yeah. Holy, yeah. I don't think I've ever. I can't imagine buying a house and going, I need to wash dishes and I have to bring water in from outside.
Yeah.
That's...
when it says propane, well, composting toilet, and solar panels, I'm like, oh, okay. I'm now prepared for a recreational property.
Absolutely.
I am now camping with walls.
Absolutely. And, so you said something there, recreational properties.
Yeah.
I see a lot of those.
Oh, you do? You do that?
Yes.
Okay.
I see a lot of those. Sometimes people just get into... maybe they take a personal loan, maybe they've saved and worked hard, and they find that beautiful 5 acres for $45,000
at a lake.
At a lake,
yep.
Yeah, right. And they say, "Wow, what a great place!" Maybe the family likes to camp.
Yeah.
And we have been in several of those situations where somebody purchased the land and they're not developing it for a house, they're not developing it for a primary residence. But they will put in an RV pad.
Yes.
They'll put
in just
a few utilities. They'll have
level it, please.
Yep, level it out. Make trails for their RVs.
Yeah.
Or for their ATVs and stuff. I see that a lot. I see that a lot in the recreational property.
Yeah.
And I've had a couple people actually say, "Hey, look, I eventually want to turn my recreational property into my primary residence."
Oh, okay.
And then over the course of 4 or 5 years, they'll have us come and, we're going to run power this year.
Oh.
The next year we're going to put a well
idea.
in.
Yeah.
And that does happen frequently.
Right. We'll do septic design that year.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
In the
exactly.
future.
Let's do permitting first and then we'll work on it.
Okay, so let's go there because we discussed this when we weren't recording. You handle the permitting process.
We do. We do offer the permit runner's process. It is... it's difficult to kind of sift through all the requirements when you're building a home. And when you're already thinking about moving, you're already stressed about, oh my gosh, maybe you're living in an apartment. Yeah. When do I need to get out of my apartment? Well, now you're going to build a home and you're going to be at the permitting office probably 4 to 6 times a month. Just touching base with them, talking to them, responding to emails. So we do offer the permit running service. It varies. It really does. In price, it depends on the scope of the home. If it's a manufactured home, it's very simple.
Okay.
It's maybe $1,000 for us to do the permits on top of the cost of the permits.
I think that's a very reasonable ask.
Yeah, no, it really. So how we look at it is, somebody is trying to put in their home. They want to live there, and a home is a deeply personal and emotional thing. Yeah. So to make it fair for people that are trying to get into some place to live, we don't need to. I don't need to get rich off of this,
Right, but taking the stress off of someone's shoulders.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, that's a huge service.
It is.
That's why we hire lawyers.
You're right. Gosh. Yes, absolutely.
Because that's what they do. They take the stress off of you.
Yeah, they do.
They finish the job, and you're like, thank you.
Yeah.
Worth every penny.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Most people that do take us up on the permit running service have a very wonderful build. They really do. I want to say, if you haven't, it's because you chose to change everything at the end. That realistically, and it's usually not with us. It's usually with the builder. I want soft close drawers rather than regular drawers, and there's a lot of decisions to make.
Oh my gosh.
Getting the permits out of the way for your well, your septic, your land development, your logging, forestry permits, wetland reviews, all that stuff. We do all that.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, we do all
Love
that.
right?
Yep, too easy.
Right. I handle paperwork and negotiation, so they don't have to.
Right.
You handle permits,
Absolutely.
so they don't have to.
Essentially, somebody could call you or I and just say, hey, I want to do this. Here's my lender. And they could just kind of live their life accordingly.
And then get updates from you, check in
Yes.
with you, and not have to deal with bureaucracy.
Absolutely.
And, whatever
Absolutely.
other hoops. I don't actually know what other hoops there might be. I don't think I want to find out.
Yeah, so the hoops, the bureaucracy of it is pretty minimal, I'll be honest.
That's good to hear.
In Washington, I started doing this in Pennsylvania, and I've done it in New Mexico, and I've done it in Missouri, and I've
so you've been a few places.
I've been a couple places. Okay. Here in Washington, the bureaucracy of it isn't too bad, but it is about cultivating relationships with the permitting offices,
right?
So that when I or my permit runner walks in there, they know, hey, this person's from Dirty Deeds. They're not going to give me a piece of paper that's blank and expect me to do all the work.
Okay, so you're coming into their office knowing what they're going to ask,
yes,
providing the information you know they're going to ask for,
yes,
versus me, because I will walk in there and say, what do you want?
Right. Yeah,
they won't like that.
They're going to maintain their professionalism because that's what they're going to do.
Because they're going to do it.
But they are not going to put you on the top of their list.
Yeah.
They're going to go, oh my gosh, I have to deal with
They have to educate me on top of doing their job. Yeah. It's harder. It
is. It is harder. Yeah. And so we go in there with everything pre-filled out.
Love it.
Yeah. My permit runner, he is on point.
Love that.
Yeah, he's on point. He fills everything out. He does all the applications. There's a few pieces of paperwork between the client and us that we have to get filled out.
Yeah.
We need power of attorney so we can sign for them and things.
Yes.
But that's about it. It's a minimal thing.
That's really important.
Yeah. But essentially they could just sit back and enjoy, get weekly updates from us. Mm-hmm. And then when the work actually begins, say it's time, all permits have cleared, they've decided on a home that they want to put in.
Yeah.
They get video, drone video, and
really?
in-cab video. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's fun.
Because a lot of people, when we bust out the big machines, people like to be there. Mm-hmm. You have a 50-ton excavator.
It's so dramatic.
Yeah, it's cool. Let's be honest.
It is.
So people like to be there, and sometimes they can't because they're working to pay the bills.
Yeah.
So giving them that so that they can save it on their computer and put it in their Google Drive, to show their family, hey, this is our step in our house building process. Yeah. It's really cool. And they get to see exactly where it's at. Mm-hmm. After that, it goes just an email, or I'll have a second site visit with the client and say, hey, look, the house is staked out with wooden stakes and usually some string line and maybe some paint, and say, hey, look, this is where your house is going to sit. Yeah. Do you want to change anything now? Yeah. Because after the trees are gone, the view might be different. Oh. And, giving somebody that opportunity to say, you know what? I didn't know I could see Mount Rainier with all those trees gone. Well, let's turn the house 47 degrees.
Better do it now.
Do it now.
Do it now.
Before the concrete goes in.
Yeah.
Because then that can be really expensive.
Yeah.
It's a very minor fix for us, huge fix for a builder.
Yeah.
So we have one last site visit before the builder comes. The builder might be in that process, actually.
Sure.
They would do like a construction meeting with the client at that time, and that way the client really only needs to be on site twice. Once in the beginning to explain anything to me, and once with the builder and me to say I need changes or I want to do something different than what the plans say.
Decided the pool is going to go over here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then after that, I just deal with the builder and get the things that they need to start the building. That's usually the process when the builder wants temporary power. We put the temporary power pole in, and our electrician runs the temporary power in. The well goes in at that time. The temporary water spigot goes in. And then once the concrete's in, then we backfill, compact everything, get everything ready for their framers to walk around, not being in the mud. And and then the builder does the work until the very end. Usually, when they call us up and say we're ready for a lawn, and we will bring in topsoil and spread grass seed and straw or hydro seed, whatever the client wants.
Yeah.
And then they have a putting green.
It's move-in ready.
Yeah, right. It's not a putting green. I wish it was a putting green. I'm not that cool.
Not that good.
I'm not that cool.
We call someone else.
Yeah, right.
That's awesome. All right. We're doing so great on time. So
okay, yeah,
doing
absolutely.
Awesome. Which topics do you think we definitely want to get in front of homeowners and home buyers? Their first time meeting you.
Due diligence. I can't say it enough.
Yeah.
I really can't.
Yeah.
It is, in my experience, the number one failure of somebody trying to build on raw land. And accepting that perfect piece of property might not be the perfect piece of property.
Yeah.
Topography has a lot to do with it, especially we were talking a little bit earlier about water views.
Yeah.
Most of Washington water views has massive topography changes, slope in the earth. That's just where we're at in the Pacific Northwest.
We live on the side of a mountain.
Right. We live on the side of a mountain that butts up to the ocean. Like there is a slope there.
Everywhere.
And that can make or break a project. It really can. In my field, metrics is what drives price. So the yards of dirt, the feet of pipe, the amount of man hours to connect those things, the amount of retaining block walls, all those things drive the price. The more of them you have, the higher the price. The less of them you have, the lower the price. So if we don't have to move a bunch of dirt, the price is significantly lower.
Yeah.
So looking at that perfect piece of land and then doing your due diligence on it is probably the 2 points that I would drive home
Hammer
to
that.
homeowners.
Yeah. All right.
Due diligence. That is the
so
most important
important.
one. It's so important.
Yeah. So I hope we released a few people to dream.
Yes, absolutely.
Do the dreaming.
Absolutely.
Whether that's your equestrian property or maybe I can't age in place in my current home. If I designed my own, then I could put everything where I wanted.
Absolutely.
And then I'll be there forever.
Yes, absolutely. Thinking long term is, I think it's important for all of us.
Always important. And then the other will fix that. Right. Okay. As well as first-time home buyers, that yes, they do have enough of a nest egg that we can consider that buying the vacant land outright, getting a construction loan, hiring the right people.
Yes.
Very important. And so everyone needs to know if you have dirt.
Yeah.
Well, you need to call Dirty Deeds.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I'm sure you have a lot of people that you can recommend. We can also, builders, I can recommend builders.
Yeah.
That it's important to be comfortable with those people.
Yes.
It really is. Something we didn't talk about?
What?
Kind of timelines.
Let's do timelines. Yes, we're not done. Will, don't cut it here.
Because that is important. The timeline process on building raw and vacant land.
Because it's not going to be next month, is it?
No, it's not going to be next month.
Right.
It is from the time somebody would call me and say, yes, I want to move forward on this. That means their builder has approved their plans.
Okay.
The county has approved their plans.
Oh.
They have the lender approves their plans.
I'm seeing multiple months right now.
So that process is generally about 4 to 6 months.
That was my guess.
Yeah, you're perfect.
Oh, all right.
4 to 6 months is usually that process.
Yeah.
And that's if everything's working really well. If something goes wrong, it's not just a 2-hour fix. Sometimes it's a 2-week fix.
Okay.
But from the time they say, go, we're ready for this, and they hand me the plans that they want, I am in and out of there, personally, I would say at the most 30 days.
Okay.
For a single family home. The builder really depends on who you pick. I've seen.
Doesn't it also depend on the scope of work?
It does. It does.
Okay, so you've got both.
You've
got your fast builders, medium builders, slow builders.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And then
you know,
your 3,000 square foot home plus barn.
Yeah, right.
Or your 1,400 square feet.
Absolutely.
I'm good.
The scope of work is huge in it, and the builder of who's doing it.
Okay.
Are they a small custom built home crew, or are they a huge some of those alpine homes? You know, they just kind of give you a kit.
I have 5 plans.
Yeah,
Pick
right.
one.
5
Yes.
plans. You pick one. That really has a lot to do with it. I can only tell you the longest and shortest that I have seen in Washington.
what have you
Yeah,
seen?
absolutely. The longest I've ever seen is about 16 months. The shortest I've ever seen is about 8 months.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it can range pretty far.
Yeah.
Now, granted, these are comparable 4-bedroom single-family homes without a barn, with
No bat cave.
no back cave, without a horse arena,
Yes.
you know, things like that. But just until the family could move into that single-family home on raw land. And it just had to do with the timelines of the builder, really.
Really.
The weather does play a part up here. Starting a build in the wintertime is usually going to be a slower process
Okay.
than starting a build in March or April, you know. So we're out of time.
Not out of time. It's just a guideline.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I will get lost.
Oh, that's okay.
And I have ended up with an hour plus. Like, how'd that happen?
It just happens.
Now I know.
So it will, in the wintertime, if you break ground in the wintertime, because of the rains we get here, water plays a huge part in it.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can't dig for a foundation when the ground is turned to soup. It would cost more to...
What are you going to dig?
Yeah.
Because it's just going to fall in again.
It just falls in. The concrete guys can't set their forms on it.
Yeah.
The stability of the ground is affected because now it's exposed to all this moisture, so it won't support the weight of the house. So there is some timelines to consider with weather.
Yeah.
When we do the permit running service, we try and estimate when the permit is going to come available because it's important to break ground when the permit is approved, because most permits are only good for 12 months.
Oh, boy.
Before you have to renew them.
Okay.
And it's not a huge cost, but it is a cost, and it is more work on our end as being a permit runner.
Yeah.
So we try and get all the permits up and running and get break ground within, I would say, 20 days of when the permit's approved. So we try and anticipate when the permit's going to be done, so we break ground in the best time. So that builder can, when I say to that builder, hey, we'll be done in 22 days, he can move in there on 23 days and form up for the foundation of the house.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Now is a good time.
now is a great time
Start doing the permits.
to do permits. It really is. 3 months ago would be a good time to do due diligence.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a month ago would have been a great time to start sending it to your lender
Yeah.
and real estate agent, get everybody's
Yeah.
2 cents.
I didn't know it was that seasonal.
Yeah.
All right.
It is. So you will see people building this time of year. There's actually a lot that goes into it to maintain that water. Topography has a lot to do with it. The type of soil that's there, that geology report has a lot to do with it. So, yeah, it's best to start in the springtime.
So we should dream in the spring.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Got it.
Absolutely. I would love to help people, dream.
We're going to go
It's
dreaming
great.
today.
Yeah, I think it's great.
That's great. Oh, I've been working out today. Thank you, Will, for cutting that out. So in our final minutes, what is the best way to follow you, maybe to get inspired by you? Are you on social media or YouTube?
Yeah, we have a Facebook page, Dirty Deeds LLC, and our webpage is dirtydeedsllc.com.
Well, that was easy.
Yeah, it's real easy. It's Dirty Deeds, just like the AC/DC song,
Yeah.
except I don't pay royalties to AC/DC.
Make that very clear.
Yeah,
The LLC sets it apart.
LLC.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, Kory, thank you so much for coming on today.
Absolutely.
I think we had a great time helping future homeowners, current homeowners, and anyone who's ready to dream about what about vacant land.
Absolutely.
That was awesome.
I love answering these questions.
Yes, fantastic. So we'll have all your information, all your contact stuff in the show notes. Mm-hmm. And anything you want to leave people with at the last minute?
No. I hope you absorbed my incoherent ramblings at some time.
Hope you had fun with us because we had fun making it.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. This episode was edited wonderfully and produced by Will Robbs. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.